Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I am Stormy Atlantis, and today we are finally diving into shadow work. From the beginning of this channel, this was a series I always intended to make. It is just taking a very long time for me to, I don't know, birth it, I guess. It's been a real process. I filmed several versions of this video. They've never been good enough. They've never made the cut. They've just been discarded for one reason or another. And I'm finally ready to start this series. In this video, I am going to go over a brief synopsis of what shadow work is and why it's important. And then I'm also going to give you some journaling prompts. It's essentially a series of questions to ask yourself consecutively to dig in and dive into your subconscious. And if you're somebody who is already very familiar with shadow work and you're like, I don't want to hear your shit, cool. I have timestamps in the description box that you can go check out to skip ahead of this. If you'd like, just go straight to the journal prompts. If you're somebody who's very new to this, I would encourage you to stay and listen to my spiel. So without further ado, let's get into it. If you are especially newly engaged in the spiritual community online, it is very easy to get caught up in this kind of love and light, raise your vibe, high vibe mentality. And it's not a whole picture. It's not even a fair picture. And I also think it's a dangerous picture to present because I think a lot of times it sets a standard which is unachievable. We are here in this place, on this planet, in this form as humans to have experiences, beautiful experiences. The sun on your face and falling in love and chocolate bars or whatever. Like, Earth is a playground, but it is also a school, and we have shit to learn. And that learning is often uncomfortable, and we have a lot to get through. It's not fair to portray an idea that everything is perfect and pretty and wonderful and like butterflies and rainbows, and like once you raise your vibe and you're like in this 5D mindset that everything is just fucking tits. It's not. That's not how it works. It's unrealistic. Somebody's been lying to you, or they are delusional. Okay. Affirmations are great, but they should be properly applied. And you can't just love and light your way all the way through life. It's natural to have lows. It's natural. And not only is it natural, but you really want to. It's not a healthy practice to avoid the negative. It's about balance. It's about the yin and the yang. You need to dive into your shadows and some more uncomfortable components in order to be able to fully heal and to be your best, most powerful self. And if you are trying to manifest and you are getting stuck and you're not having a lot of success, a lot of times it's because you have internal limiting beliefs that are blocking you, or behavioral patterns, these kinds of things that you have to uncover, and you're not even aware of them. That's the thing about shadow work. When it's in the shadow, you don't fucking see it. And I'll just give you a real life example. This is a very recent one, okay? I just recently found out I don't believe in lasting romantic love. I did not know that about myself. If you were to ask me, I would say I was a diehard romantic, because I have been. I've been a serial monogamist for most of my life. I mean, I've been single for a few years now, but a serial monogamist and hopelessly romantic and very sentimental and blah, 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 blah. So on paper, if you were to ask me, do you believe in love? I would say, like, absolutely, love is everything. And then only recently, with my growing awareness of my shadows, etc., I've discovered that I actually don't believe in lasting romantic love. I believe in fleeting romantic love, not lasting. And when I found that out, I was real upset about it, to be honest, because I was like, well, fuck. The thing about it is your beliefs are going to shape your reality. If I don't believe in lasting romantic love, it's probably why I'm 35 and fucking single, okay? Like, so not a surprise. I also discovered that I inherently believe that people are happier without me, and that people only talk to me either out of pity, obligation, or personal benefit, which is really fucking sad. And I found it out kind of on a whim, on accident. It hit me like a freight train, and I was like, well, this is upsetting. And I traced it all the way back to like abandonment issues and childhood shit that had been reinforced over and over again because I believed that everyone was happier without me. I have a very strong tendency to push people away or to not emotionally commit. And these are the kinds of things that are important to heal. If I want to have long-lasting, healthy relationships, I need to first figure out what it is that I'm doing in order to prevent that. And in my case, I didn't believe in lasting romantic love, and I inherently believed that everyone was happier without me, and so it was best to just isolate. And I'm a very, very isolated person. I only have a very, very small circle of friends, and I'm pretty much by myself all the time. That's just how I operate. And I thought it was just like, I'm just an introvert or whatever, but like it's limiting beliefs that I have. And you also have limiting beliefs that are also affecting your life. And you're not even aware of them yet. And it's only in the awareness of them that you can begin to alter those patterns to change your life in really profound and powerful ways. In essence, shadow work is the discovery of the self. You have a whole half of you probably, it would be my estimate, is sitting in your shadows that you're not even seeing yet. And if you don't know who you are, you can't properly wield your power or essence or be your best self. So it's important to dive into shadow work because it's important to know who you are. If that's what it's about, learning oneself. It's how you get into alignment. It's how you create a new reality. It's how you find joy and happiness and self-love and all of these things. And shadow work is really the ticket. It's not easy. It's not fun. It's a lot of work and it can be really deeply upsetting, but it is absolutely, absolutely worth it. I have two other quick points I want to make about shadow work. I think they're really important to listen to. One, I'm going to be talking about journaling for shadow work. I think it's really one of the best methods. Now, if you're going to be journaling for your shadow work, it is of the utmost importance that you feel you have absolute privacy within that journal. Couple of reasons. One, if you're going to be truly vulnerable with yourself and truly open with yourself, you're going to need to have the privacy and safe space to do that. If you are at risk of having your journal read, you'll know that and you'll hold back a little. I think it's really important to be able to have the freedom and privacy that you need to write whatever you need to write and be unrestricted in that. So if you are in a household or in a situation where you don't feel that your journal is necessarily safe, I recommend either finding a really good hiding spot or not having it at home or getting yourself a lockbox, because when you give yourself the absolute and utter freedom to write and knowing that no one else is ever going to see it, it's just for you. That's where I think a lot of really intense, powerful truth comes out that you wouldn't necessarily want to be sharing publicly. And I think part of our minds tries to protect us. If we know that our journals aren't safe and sacred and private, then we're not really willing to be vulnerable. So I just want to say, I think it's really important that you have absolute privacy and safety within your journal space. And the last important point I want to make before getting into the actual prompts is that I know it can seem very overwhelming. And when I go through these prompts, it's going to seem a little vague. And it can feel like, how will I ever discover all of these things? It's too much. But here's where I think the magic in shadow work lies. Your soul, yourself, part of you has the inherent willingness to be discovered, to be healed, right? And I think until you start your shadow work, you're just kind of in survival mode. But once you go, okay, I'm ready to heal, it's almost like, it's kind of like your subconscious mind will just be like, you sure, bitch? And then if you're like, no, yeah, I'm sure. Then they'll be like, all right. And it's like, as soon as you give yourself the permission to dive in there, as soon as you tell your mind, like, yes, I'm willing to see what's hidden, I'm willing to look at it, I'm willing to heal it, then it'll just bubble to the surface. And that's where, like how I was talking about how I discovered this and I discovered that, that's a common occurrence for me now because I am open and willing to look at these things regularly. And I become much more aware of them. So now I will just regularly be like, oh, fuck, I did not know that was in there. That's a whole trauma pattern I did not recognize before. And it's just a matter of giving myself the permission to see that and giving myself love throughout it. It's also really important. I guess I do have one more thing to say. It's really important when you're doing your shadow work to give yourself love, acceptance, and compassion. When we start to uncover our own like toxic traits, it can make you feel like shit, and then you get very self-deprecating. At least that's how I have been traditionally. And I learned it's really important that I allow myself compassion and forgiveness, because these are things that I learned as a survival mechanism. These are things that I was taught. These are things that I believed was in my best interest, and I was just doing the best that I could to keep myself safe and sane. And then once I recognized that I don't actually have to live like that, then I go, okay, well, thank you to me. Like, thank me for doing what you thought was in my best interest. I appreciate that, but we don't have to do that anymore. You know, it's really important that you talk to yourself with compassion, knowing that you have been doing your best. Even if you didn't feel like you were doing your best, even that's you doing your best, okay? Now, I'm done with my tangent. Let's get into the actual prompts. First thing we're gonna do, we're gonna go just deep with this one. I really debated. I've made 4 videos before on how to start this, and I finally decided we're just gonna start real strong. We're gonna start with a traumatic childhood experience. Now, when I say traumatic, it does not have to be like somebody whipped you near to your life, okay? When I was young, I used to love singing. I still love singing, but now I only do it in the shower and like in the car. When I was young, I said I wanted to be a singer, and my stepdad laughed at me and said that would never fucking happen. That's a traumatic experience. I don't sing in front of anybody. I never signed up for a talent show. It really stifled me. And that is a traumatic experience. So when I say identify a traumatic experience, just think about prominent memories in your childhood. Like, just go over your childhood and what stands out. Because if it stands out, it was probably something you learned. So pick a prominent childhood memory and start with that. After you've chosen the memory, I want you to get your journal and write it out. Write out the memory in as much detail as you can. A lot of times when we start writing it out, it starts to kind of come back to us more, and we start to recognize the patterns already. Sometimes this is the only step you'll need to do. Like I said before, once you give your mind permission to go ahead and show you your shadows, it will often just show them to you. After you have written out your childhood memory of choice, I want you to answer the question, what did this teach me? Like, what did that teach you? For I mentioned earlier that I loved singing and that I was told I could never be a singer. It taught me that I could never be a singer. It taught me that my voice was unpleasant. I took from that my singing wasn't good. So ask yourself, what did you learn from that experience? So now I want you to ask yourself, how am I still manifesting this lesson that I learned? So for me, for that example, I don't sing in front of anybody. I remember standing outside of the audition doors for the talent show and never walking in because I was too scared. I don't sing in front of anybody ever unless I'm real shit canned at a karaoke bar. And then I probably shouldn't have, okay? And then I want you to kind of break it down from there to be more specific. How does it manifest in your work? How does it manifest in your romantic relationships? How does it manifest in your friendships, in your family dynamic? Start to look at the different areas of your life and see how that has affected you. Next thing I want you to do is ask yourself what you need to do to break this behavioral pattern or cycle. So with the singing thing, it could be singing, which was actually a goal in 2020 that I did not accomplish. I actually recorded myself singing multiple times, and I was going to post it on my story, and I just never did. It was one of those things where I was like, I guess I've been working on it. And I was like, I have to get over this. Like, I've got to just do it. Like, who gives a fuck, Stormy? But it just seems so self-indulgent to post myself singing on social media. So, like, and just never did it. But that would be an example from that lesson. It's not a good example because I didn't do it. I can't say that I successfully handled that one, but you get what I'm saying. Before I give you the last prompt, I'm going to give you a small tangent. in the love and light, happy-go-lucky, high vibe tribe, social media world of spirituality, affirmations are fucking everywhere. And here's the thing. You can't just slap an affirmation on your conscious mind and think it's just going to wheedle its way all the way in. It's not, okay? It's got to be a very like specific and directional affirmation. If you tell yourself every day, I am loved, I am worthy, but you have a bunch of unconscious limiting beliefs that don't agree with that, it's just going to be in conflict. That affirmation is in conflict. You have to first find the core of where the limiting belief is. Why don't you feel you're worthy, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And then apply the affirmation with that understanding and consciousness. That's where you can start to like really alter your mind, your mental space. So the last question is, what affirmation can I enact to remind myself? This is where affirmations are good. Okay. So, in the singing example, I haven't done an affirmation for it actually. And I'm just now realizing that. But in that I could say, I love my own voice. I need no one else's approval. Something like that. Okay. You want to find an affirmation and apply it and put that on a mirror or on paper, on your notebooks or whatever you're going to do. Repeat that affirmation every day, or think about that affirmation or meditate on that affirmation. Incorporate it and know that as you're doing that, you're altering that original belief. And then with your awareness, just be very mindful going forward. If you see yourself hit that trigger again, whatever thing you learned, if you see yourself doing it again, just take a step back and go, okay, nope, I remember, and then remember your affirmation and say it, and then step back into the moment, right? This is how you begin to really alter and change your processes and your behavioral patterns. So there's a couple of things that I'm really curious about. I would like to know where you are at on your shadow work journey. I'm looking to understand where the people who are viewing this video are at in their shadow work journey. Like, is this your first time doing shadow work? Are you semi-experienced? Have you been doing it for a long time? Are you looking for new prompts? Like, where are you at in your shadow work journey? I'm curious to know so that I know kind of where the viewers are at with their process. I don't want to go over or under where you are. Additionally, I would like to know what you would like to know about shadow work. What kind of content would you like to see about it? Do you want to see more journal prompts? Do you want to see other methodologies? Do you just want to hear more about it? Like, what are you interested in? And with that being said, if you appreciated this video, it really means a lot to me. If you can hit the like button or leave a comment or subscribe, it helps me out a lot. It means a lot to me and I appreciate it. And if you're not following me on Instagram or Twitter, that's where the party's at. So that's all I have. Best of luck on your guys' journey, and I will see you in the next video.